Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are having a good week. I know we are because Armored Kill just came out, and today we are having a special podcast with the Anonymous Squad talking about Armored Kill, talking about Armored Kill Rush and Defenders. We have a couple of special guests tonight who I believe Zitter will now introduce.
Hi Noah, we have in-house WillGuitarGuy.
Hello.
Hello. He has appeared on the podcast before if you listen to episode 3, and he's a PS3 exclusive player. We also have with us SkullznSpadz. He's a YouTuber. He plays primarily on the PC, but he's got his roots on the PS3, and he is playing on the PS3 right now to get you guys some Armored Kill footage. So do check out his channel, SkullznSpadz on YouTube. And of course, we have the usual NOVAxDRAGON.
So we have encountered a problem with Armored Kill, and that is defenseless defenders. It's an oxymoron, I know, but when you're playing defense on Rush, you seem to be up against inconceivable odds. Because the enemy team has an AC-130 at their disposal. And not just one AC-130, but multiple AC-130s, as long as you continually kill it. First thoughts, guys?
Yeah, this problem basically I think exists majorly on console because you're playing 12 players versus 12 players. And it's not really the AC-130 that is overpowered. It's majorly a problem of the attacking team having a substantial advantage over the defending team in the Armored Kill Rush. So, guys, do you think the attackers have an edge on the Armored Kill Rush? Spades, you can go first.
So, yeah, they definitely have an advantage because they still have the vehicle advantage on top of having the AC-130. And I think the best way to kind of describe what playing against this AC-130 is I mean, we've all played Rush on Karg Island, right?
Yeah.
We know how that is. And we've all played Rush on Karg Island with a really good helicopter pilot and a really good jet pilot on the enemy team and a crappy jet pilot on your team. Basically, you can't move without either the jet or the helicopter killing you. But those people that fly that helicopter, that fly that jet, have an incredible amount of skill. Well, maybe not an incredible amount of skill, but they have a high level of skill. Whereas with the AC-130, really all you need is 2 coordinated people, and every minute there's another one coming back up. So it's insane, like how it can rain death in this small area for you, and pretty much like your entire team has to devote yourself to go take this thing out. And then
so it's
within a couple seconds, reverse yourself.
Yeah, so it's easy to use and pretty deadly. Will, do you want to add anything to that?
It's the OP-130. Seriously. a lot of people before Armored Kill came out, they were just asking, where's this AC-130 we wanted in the game? And now that it's out, they're just saying, let's just completely take it out. It's completely overpowered. And I wrote an impressions article a couple days ago, and it's pretty much talking about, your first priority. It has to be just taking it out because it respawns really fast. For a lot of people who have played it already, it's kind of overpowered for the attackers. And yeah, they need some fixes with it. Really.
Yeah, not only the AC-130. I mean, the attacking team also get 2 tanks, whereas the defenders on most of the maps, this has been my observation, is that the defenders only have 1 tank and no anti-air. So I mean, it's just an overpowering wave.
Well, generally in Rush, the defensive team is always down at least 1 vehicle. It's kind of the way it goes. That's how they kind of balance the attacking team having to go against the team that is settled in. The problem with the AC-130 is it just creates such chaos. There's no defense to set up. It's not something that you can destroy before it gets to your perimeter. It's on top of you as soon as it spawns.
Let's discuss more about why AC-130 is why we feel AC-130 is so overpowered on Rush.
Yeah, well, Will mentioned that the AC-130 just spawns way too often. Um, and a little bit of information for you guys. I looked it up, and the AC-130 costs at least $130 million. Now, we don't just go throwing these around. When the military uses AC-130s, we have a specific mission that we want them to do. So the idea that once one blows up in Battlefield 3, you can have one 90 seconds later, that is completely unheard of. Now, one idea I had of maybe how to fix this is to make it more powerful. And I know what you guys are going to say, that doesn't make any sense at all. But what happens if we make it more powerful and do not allow respawn? It'll really play a big role at the first two bases. After that, maybe defense will actually have a chance to defend.
Or you can make it like once per MCOMs. And so maybe it'll come back every time there's a new set of MCOMs. Because if there was just one altogether, that's all I'd try to do is take out the AC-130, and then after that, I just go for the spawn trap.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how difficult that game mechanic would be for DICE to put in the game. I mean, once per MCOM it's kind of a very weird game mechanic. But I mean, make it a lot more powerful, but have it respawn only once per base. I'm really not sure what my feelings are about that. I mean, one really important crucial role that the AC-130 plays is that it acts like a spawn point. And the problem with it acting like a spawn point is that it actually takes a circle behind the MCOM base or behind the defenders. So as a defender, you have to defend from every angle. And I think Skulls has a point which might be able to fix this issue.
Yeah, I think if you adjust the rails of the AC-130 so that it doesn't circle the MCOMs, maybe have it so it does it circles more of the attacking area in front of the MCOMs, and then also mountains like Bandar or maps like Bandar Desert, they have some scenic mountains in the back, but put those as visually blocking and like invisible walls where the AC-130 can't shoot through. So you get barraged by an MCOM or barraged by an AC-130 for 15 seconds. Then for 30 seconds, it can't attack you. And you can do that with reload time. You can do that with the way it circles the map. Right now it just hovers over the MCOMs, and the entire focus of the gunner is to just shoot on MCOMs.
Or maybe when the AC-130 is hovering near the MCOM area, the opposing team cannot spawn on it. They can also put that mechanism in there. That way they don't have to fix the rails.
Now, see, I don't disagree with you guys, but I really like the fact that you can spawn from the AC-130. I feel as though the vanilla maps are very linear. And being able to spawn on the AC-130 takes that completely out of existence. You have people spawning behind you. And I really like that. And it makes the battlefield multi-directional instead of uni or bi-directional. And I think that just this whole addition sort of puts the defenders not necessarily at a disadvantage, but it makes them focus on, maybe what it would actually be like to be in a war. Will, what do you think?
Well, I guess it's like similar to if you played Battlefield 1943 with the airstrike. You would just go in there and just have that one-time deal. And then if you were to do this with the AC-130, it would kind of help with the balance. Maybe it would circle a couple times. You would only be able to use it for a certain amount of time. That would help it out.
Okay, the second problem that the AC-130 has is that it has double flares. Now, keep in mind that DICE actually removed the ECM and the flares combination from the attack choppers because they thought that it was overpowered. Now, but the AC-130 has the same kind of combination with both the gunners having a flare to deploy. Now, because of this, what happens is that only 1 out of 3 javelins or iglas hit the AC-130. What are your guys' thought on this particular issue?
My opinion is I don't like it. They nerfed the chopper, which is harder to use, harder to fly, and then they buff the AC-130. The only justification I can see in it is at least it's the AC-130. I think is 99% of the time in Igla range than anybody near the MCOMs, but it has more health, it has more defensive capability, and it does more damage. I feel than the chopper ever did.
Now, one of the problems that defenders face when they are defending their base is they're going to try and put mines around their base to deter enemy armor and slow them down. But the problem with the AC-130 is that it basically blows off all those mines, and sometimes you might have a friendly tank sitting near those mines, and that tank also gets taken out. I think Nova, you have some points to discuss here.
Yeah. Not necessarily with just the AC-130, but with mines in general. I think that when you are defending, if you plant your objective with mines, yes, the AC-130 blows it up. But one strategy I found that sort of defies that is right after your objective blows up, you have a good 15, maybe 30 seconds while the attacking force is still getting everyone up to the objective that you can start laying mines. The attacking force gets new vehicle spawns very near to the objectives they just blew up. So if you plant mines on the roads out, if you find gates or gaps in rocks, you plant mines there, attackers will just drive out not thinking that there are mines there because they just blew up the base. So that's a pretty easy strategy that beats the AC-130's power, at least at the start of a set of MCOMs.
That is a very cheeky tip. The second issue it has is that basically we were having this issue while defending, is that the AC-130 was basically spawn killing our defender's tank. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think that kind of defeats the purpose of even having a tank. It seemed like if the attackers had a good AC-130, we didn't even have a tank on the battlefield.
Yeah, earlier I was talking about that the attackers get 2 tank and we get 1 tank, but I mean we really have 0 tanks with the AC-130 out there in the air, shelling onto our tanks. I mean,
like that one guy that was killing us with the AC-130 last night. We never had a tank.
And the most annoying issue by the AC-130, if the attackers arm the MCOM, there is no way to disarm it if the AC-130 is constantly firing on it and constantly shelling it. I mean, guys, I'm asking for your help. Do you guys have any tips on this?
I like to see how fast it goes down by SOFLAM Javelin, because Iglas are still 2 shots on other air vehicles. I wonder if we get the damage boost with the SOFLAM Javelin. I don't know if anybody discussed this about the patch notes, but before, SOFLAMs wouldn't take splash damage at all. That's why it's really hard to kill a SOFLAM with like a tank or the chopper rockets. They took no splash damage. So now SOFLAMs in the patch, they fixed that. They take splash damage now. So if you notice, SOFLAMs are a lot easier to destroy than they ever were. So it's an unintentional nerf of SOFLAMs when they would really be helpful in this case, to take out that AC-130. I'm wondering if you get a good SOFLAM set up and you have tanks with guided shells and you have guys with javelins, how much faster will you take that thing down? And does the AC-130 obey the rules of all the other air vehicles, which I think it does because it has flares? That means a laser lock can't be broken by flares, right? So instead of that every 3rd shot from the Igla taking it down, it would be each shot from the javelin actually hit it.
Yeah, the flares are not going to deter the SOFLAM lock, I believe, right?
They can break the SOFLAM lock, but once the javelin's been fired, it cannot break the lock.
Okay.
So if it'll break the SOFLAM lock with the flares, but then the SOFLAM will reacquire the lock while it's trying to reload the flares. And if the javelin locks on in the time the SOFLAM's locked on, nothing can stop that javelin from hitting it. Like what you do in choppers and in jets is you outrun the javelins because you have a higher thrust than they do. But in the AC-130s on rails, it's not going to outrun it. So I'm really curious to see an effective SOFLAM javelin squad, how fast they're able to put one of these AC-130s down.
Yeah, but getting back to the point I was asking is there any way to defuse an MCOM when the AC-130 is shelling it?
I think you have the same problem even with whether it be a tank or a chopper hitting an MCOM.
You need to take the source down.
You have to clear the immediate area first. And of course, unfortunately, with the AC-130, the immediate area is all the sky.
Yeah. One major problem with the AC-130 is that it takes around. I mean, we were a squad of 3 engineers and 1 medic trying to take down the AC-130, and the medic was there to keep reviving the engineer that were getting killed by the AC-130, and we were all running IGLAs, but it wasn't very effective. I would say it takes around 4 engineers to take down the AC-130. Because 2 of them will die even before they fire their first shot.
Yeah, and so I was going through and trying to figure out how best to play each of the classes. And again, I'll probably say something that is caught with surprise. But I was playing Assault, and I think Assault might be key to successfully defending in Rush, and that is because of smoke and the paddles to make the res. Smoke, you can smoke anywhere. When I was going through, I was smoking my friends, I was smoking the people with the Iglas on my team, I was smoking my own path, I was smoking enemy tanks, I was smoking everywhere. It confused the AC-130. Sometimes they shot my smoke, sometimes they didn't. Now, sometimes I ran through it, sometimes I didn't. I was still getting killed pretty heavily. However, I really feel as though I was helping my team. We got them down to something like 20 tickets before, they did kind of get it together at the end. So we did end up losing. But I think that if you try new things that aren't necessarily aggressive, you might be able to find ways to take down the giant.
That's pretty good because then you do not have the whole team occupied with the AC-130. I mean, on the console, if like 4 guys are occupied taking down the AC-130, I mean, that's like 30% of your team running after the AC-130. I know Will has something to say over here.
Smoking's bad for you. No, but I agree with you, saying that the medic is one of the most necessary classes for this. If you're in a safe area, you have a med kit in one area, your team knows where they could get some health, it's really going to help out your team. Smoke is a great idea. I haven't tried that out yet. I've just been using my med kit, just been helping my people with some patty cakes every now and then, and yeah.
I think we could be completely wrong in our observation about attackers being overpowered because we haven't tried. We went for the straightforward strategy. You see armor, you spawn engineer, but we actually didn't think about these alternate cheeky strategies in which you go medic to combat to help your engineers combat armor.
If I can kind of add my 2 cents to that statement, and Nova, I think your strategy is great, and it's a strategy used a lot in a defensive or attacking role in Rush a lot, right? The easiest way to save tickets is to revive people that have already been shot. The easiest way to keep people up is by constantly reviving them instead of waiting them to spawn in 5 seconds later and then maybe their squad's wiped. And I agree with that being a good strategy. I don't know how well it is on PS3, but on PC, the way Battlefield 3 goes, if you're not doing it yourself, it's probably not getting done. And if I think that in PC you're going to get into these lobbies where everybody's just going to totally ignore the AC-130, and they're either going to back out or they're going to go in the back of the map where the AC-130 can't hit them and snipe. I think that you got to confront the AC-130. You got to have either someone you trust taking it down, or you got to take it down.
Yeah, I think
Go ahead.
PC would be less plagued by this issue because, I mean, PC has 32 versus 32 players. So even if 4 to 6 guys on your team are occupied with the AC-130, that's not a big issue. But on console,
the big thing
yeah,
go ahead. The big thing you have to remember out PC though is nobody has voice comms.
yes,
So to get organized is a lot more, and PC players play generally. The big majority play more as a pastime, whereas console players, and I'm just kind of generalizing for PC players. I know a lot of PC players that really take it seriously. PS3 players play to win. PC players, a lot of them play to win, but in a 64-man server, if it's only 10 of them, you're not making that much of a difference. And you guys, you didn't really see my reference in Karg Island about getting attacked by an attack chopper, and it seems like you guys are always in squads or in teams that are willing to pull out those iglas and those javelins and take that stuff down. I think it's gonna translate in PC, where it really depends on what you walk into that server with. I think it could dominate on 32-man servers where it's kind of a bunch of people that are just playing for an hour. It's kind of more in and out, and with no voice communication at all with your other players, it gets pretty bad.
So you're saying that this problem has a chance of getting replicated on the PC as well?
Yeah, I believe it has an easier solution to be fixed on the PC, but I wouldn't say that we're not going to have this problem. I guarantee you the first time I get into AC-130 on PC that I won't be shot down. Mainly because I'll have someone else in the AC-130 with me and a jet pilot, but I have a feeling that it'll be just as easy to dominate on PC. On the 64-man servers, yeah, it's a little bit different. 32-mans, 48-mans, I think it'll be just as easy. The other point I want to make about when Nova was talking about smoke is to beat smoke in a regular game mode, just spot. You can spot through smoke. So if you see smoke, like on PC, I just spam the Q key, and on PS3, you guys should just spam select. Spotting's a little bit harder for me, like using the controller. On PC, it's really easy because it's just your left finger constantly pressing a key. But that's usually how you beat players using smoke. That's why in competitive play, you can't spot.
Okay. I mean, you made an excellent point about the voice comm and not able to get the teamwork going on the PC. Till now, I was just thinking that PC players would be just fine with 32 players on their side.
So I know what all you guys are saying. How can we fix this? How can we bring this game to justice? What can we do? We've thought for quite a while actually on this topic, and we've made a short list of fixes that could help. Now none of these are definitely, we can guarantee 100% that they will fix all balance issues. Obviously we can't speak for that. However, these are tips or things that we are curious about. Maybe they would balance that. And then the first one, and maybe the most important, is just the option to disable the gunship in the server options. This would definitely just take the AC-130 out of the game. Now, the attackers might still have the advantage of having that extra tank, but it's nothing that ground infantry units can't handle.
Well, I know this option would be on the PC on the first day because you can auto-kick people who actually get a kill through a certain weapon. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
you can auto kick them from using any vehicle. I'm sure that'll be enforced.
I'm pretty sure many people will just ban the AC-130 right out. Maybe not on the first day, but maybe on the second day.
I talked with Colbert. We're probably going to end up doing that on the company 008 server if there's not something significantly done to change its game style, because I promise you I will always be in that thing if it's allowable. I find it really fun to just win games easily. Well, I probably get bored of it eventually, but yeah, we'll always have that option in PC, and that's not something you guys will have in PS3.
The second thing you can do is keep the AC-130 spotted all the time. Now, the major issue I was having with the AC-130 is that I didn't even knew that it was in the air. So if I don't know it's in the air, I cannot take the right angle of cover to protect me from the AC-130. Only time I knew it was in the air is when I actually got killed by it. Will, did you have similar experiences?
Yeah. Similar to what you guys were saying, maybe there should be some kind of voiceover saying, there's an AC-130 up in the air or something. That would be sweet. It would kind of be similar to how in Operation Metro you would get, this was back in the alpha, back when you would get that whole, just entirely crazy freaking voiceover where it was just telling you that the airstrike was coming and it was going to blow a giant hole to get you into the metro. So it'd be like that. That would be sweet.
Yeah, I think you make a nice point. I mean, it could also be done by voiceover, the usual voiceover. I think, Noah, you have something to say over here.
Yeah, when the AC-130 actually appears on the map, it's just kind of poof, and there it is. It's circling the objective. It'd be nice if, it spawns after 90 seconds, but it spawns 5 miles out, and then you have to sit in it for a minute or two until it gets up to the objective. I think that might also help balance the defense a little bit.
I agree with that. Every other vehicle has to be put through that. Every other vehicle has to start and spawn and come there. It should give you opportunity to shoot it down before it gets to the battlefield.
Kind of like in Battlefield 1943 with the airstrike.
One of the major issues that we have with the AC-130 is that once you arm an NCOM, it's very difficult to disarm it if the AC-130 is shelling it out, and it takes too much time to take it out. Before that, you already have the charge blow up. I mean, it's a simple solution to this problem. I'm just placing the MCOMs inside buildings. Now, I like Armored Kill because I think almost all the buildings are destructible, but this is probably the first time I really want an indestructible building to hold the MCOM. I don't know what you guys think about that.
The building on the desert seems indestructible. That one building.
That last one.
The final one, the construction site. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so that one's got some pretty good cover from the AC-130.
But apart from that, at least place like one MCOM inside an indestructible building. So at least you got at least one MCOM is you need to fight your way in.
Yeah, I don't know how hard that would be to adjust NCOMs after, but I definitely agree with that. Even if one objective on each set of MCOMs couldn't be pounded by the AC-130, it would make the infantry have to earn that MCOM, and I think that would be reasonable for the defenders. It's like you go stand on that MCOM over there, you're gonna get crapped on. You go stand on this MCOM, you might have a chance, and that way you don't have to be the multitasker of I'm gonna take out the AC-130, now I'm gonna defend the MCOM, now I'm gonna take out the AC-130, now I'm gonna defend the MCOM.
The most important point is that we talked about how imbalanced armor is on the defender side. I mean, they get one tank, which probably gets spawn killed by the AC-130, whereas the attackers get 2 tanks. I mean, it would be good for the defenders to have maybe a couple of anti-airs or an extra tank or an extra jet, because, I mean, the attackers get an AC-130 and a jet. So if there is a 3-man crew working well together, the single defender jet is not going to have much effect. What were your experiences of trying to take out AC-130 in a jet? Did you guys try it?
I tried it. It's pretty easy. It flies really slow. The main problem is after you destroy it, it's usually you blow up yourself because it's hard, because you're going so slow. It's hard to pull away from the wreckage. The main problem is that doesn't really create an overall balance, because now with not everybody being skilled in the jet, it kind of puts it up to who can get in the jet and who's good in the jet. Like on PC, we have this problem a lot where people will constantly get in jets, but they're not good jet pilots. And on some maps that literally loses the game for you, like Karg Island, Caspian Border, because the other jet has free reign over your whole defense. And I don't know how it's going to be now that they buffed the Igla again, but it would literally, you'd lose because the other jet was in the air and your jet couldn't do anything. You might have the reverse if you give 2 extra jets to the defensive team. Now they're going to take out the one jet pretty easily, then take out the AC-130, and then they're probably going to spawn trap the attacking team. So I think you got to be careful with an extra jet. Something like anti-air is a little more balanced, but a good anti-air driver could probably take out both. But then he's got his infantry to support him at the MCOM objective. So I think that would be a lot more balanced of a solution. Something that's lightly armored, but can do a lot of damage to the air vehicles.
Yeah, definitely. I'm leaning more towards the anti-air side rather than the extra jet. But I'm a guy who can't fly, so my opinion is biased.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a good idea. I really like that idea. The problem is the AC-130 is probably going to spray it and spawn before it gets to do anything.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah. Well, my first experience with Armored Kill, I actually saw that no one was in the helicopter. The game had just started, so I hopped in as the pilot. Get to an appropriate height, and I see the AC-130. I was pretty impressed by its size, but I decided to try my little helicopter seeking missiles anyway. And you know what? I took it down before it killed anyone. So I think if you have a good helicopter pilot, and you, not saying that I'm a good helicopter pilot, I'm just saying that I got there quick. So as long as the helicopter makes it their goal to take down the AC-130 immediately, that at least means that for the first minute and a half of the game, you don't have to worry about it.
Were you using heat seekers?
Yeah.
So the guy didn't flare, or did he flare?
Oh, he kept flaring. I lock, fire one heat seeker, they flare, and then I fire the other one.
Did he shoot back with anti-air at all?
They started to, but it's highly inaccurate.
Okay.
Yeah, the main problem comes down to that the attackers do not need a whole lot of coordination. They just need, they probably need 2 guys, maybe 3 guys on mic to coordinate the flare and the jet who is trying to protect the AC-130. But the defenders need a lot of coordination to take this thing down, which is difficult to find in a public game. Now, competitive game is a completely different issue, because in competitive game there would be a designated 2-man crew just to take down the AC-130, and they will just do this job very easily.
I think it needs to be less powerful overall. Just armor, its weapons, it's too freaking strong.
Yes, we're coming down and discussing that in our next point, which is basically we want to reduce the splash damage. We would like to see that one way to fix it would be to reduce the splash damage on it. And I think Skulls made an observation where he's saying that it actually does much more splash damage than a tank shell.
Yeah, it looks like the high heat rounds that you use in the tank destroyers. They do a lot of splash damage instead of the actual just tank round. And so there's probably a huge area of splash damage, and that's why it feels like you're getting killed over and over and over when he's actually probably shooting at other Doritos.
Yeah, I think that damage could be appropriately adjusted to balance out the AC-130. But overall, I mean, I think leave the AC-130 as it is. Just give us something more to take them. Give us something more as a defenders to take it out, anti-air or something else. I think I'm leaning towards more over that thing rather than changing stuff completely on the gunship. I don't know whether you guys agree or disagree with me on that.
No, I agree with you there.
One more way that this game mode could be balanced is probably adding the 84 from Bad Company 2.
I mean, I'd like to see the AT-4 from Bad Company 2. That thing was like a highly... I mean, you could take down a chopper in one shot from it. If you could let me use the AT-4 and it took 2 shots on the AC-130, I'd take it down. Problem is, it'd probably be taken down too fast. But they need to add some kind of high high skill weapon that you can use to high damage against armor and flying vehicles, and they didn't add that in Battlefield 3. They made everything laser designate, and it does it for you. I like to see something like the TV missile and the chopper given to the infantry.
So there was one idea that was thrown around that this whole attackers being overpowered in Rush might actually work better on hardcore, because the gunner on the gunship will be a little bit more cautious to avoid team killing. What do you guys think about that?
Oh God.
So many people in the team would be missing within a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That would be kind of interesting. I don't know how it's gonna work in hardcore.
yeah. I'm imagining entering the AC-130, and after just maybe 5 or 6 shots, I'm kicked out of the server for team killing.
Yeah, that's what usually happens when you play Carg Island Rush too. That's what happens to me usually when I'm the chopper pilot or the chopper gunner. I'm usually kicked out of the server pretty fast if they're actually defusing the MCOMs.
Yeah, especially on the high ticket servers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this was actually a comment that was posted on one of my YouTube videos. And at first, I was a little confused. I was thinking, hardcore mode? Who plays hardcore mode? And then I realized that a lot of people actually do play hardcore.
Yeah.
But who's going to keep the AC-130 in hardcore mode? Like, if there's an option to take it out, it's not going to be a part of hardcore mode.
You'd be surprised how many people keep overpowered stuff in hardcore. Like hardcore Conquest 64 man exists, and it is nuts. Well, I don't know. I guess you guys don't really have hardcore on PS3, but it's really popular on PC. I would say it's about 50% of the players play only hardcore.
Yeah, it's on
We have it. It's
PS3.
just yeah.
Go ahead.
But there's a lot of people on PC that will only play hardcore and hardcore only.
Well,
Because they're so used to Counter-Strike deaths, where if you're shot at, you're dead. Whereas Battlefield in regular is much more of an aim-based, precision-based game. In hardcore, it's not. And a lot of people come from that, where it's like you spray an area and the guy dies.
Yeah, there are people over on PS3 like that who just like to play hardcore, especially vehicle guys, because vehicles have very little disadvantage in hardcore.
Yeah, well, you usually just destroy. There's no disable.
Yeah, except for third-person view, there is no other disadvantage to running a vehicle in a hardcore mode.
Yeah, you just have less health. That's about it.
Yeah. Does the vehicle have less health?
Good vehicle guys, they like to play hardcore.
Yeah.
Because they take out guys from really far away. Hardcore's a really more slow focused game mode.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people are just going to be constantly getting kicked from the server.
Yeah.
I don't know. Either that or it's weird because some of the MCOMs some of the spawns spawn you right on the NCOMs, and some of the spawns spawn you right outside the MCOMs. I think those spawns that you're getting spawned on outside in hardcore, that's where you're going to be trapped.
Yeah. Well,
because they'll splash you out of the MCOM area and get you stuck in that spawn.
Yeah. We actually proposed a lot of changes that could be made to balance out this mode. I am pretty sure that in the next patch, DICE will try to balance Rush on Armored Kill.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What do you think they will change? I know we proposed a lot of stuff, but a lot of these points might be too difficult, or might be difficult to test even. So what do you guys think that they will change?
I think they're going to go with the splash damage reduction and maybe the flares, maybe health. They're going to do something that's not visually impacting, kind of like what they did to the AA cannons. They're just going to make it weak against infantry and strong against vehicles.
Okay, well, what do you think the changes that will actually make it into the next patch?
I really hope they just fix the overall armor on it and fix the area that it flies over. Because if it's just going to be flying over the objective, come on. No one's going to want to play it.
Noah, you have any comments?
Yeah, well, they're going to fix it somehow, and they're gonna break something else in there fixing it. That's just kind of how patches go, at least from what we've seen, you know. So they added a really imbalanced frag shotguns. Then they added the dart glitch. Then now you can, what is it? If you have the AUG under barrel with smoke or something, it's a one-hit kill. I mean, they break things every patch. Now, granted, I think we've been getting better because not many people uses the AUG with smoke, but you know, it still is there. And I don't know if we're going to see a perfectly balanced game.
I actually agree with the Skulls on this. I think they're gonna balance the splash damage and the health on the AC-130, but I do not necessarily agree that that is the right way to balance this game mode. I would really like them to leave the AC-130 the way it is. Maybe change its rail, or maybe do some changes so that people cannot spawn on top of the objective. But I would really like to see more armor on the defender side.
Seriously.
Nothing.
I think the other point we want to make, though, too, is that Armored Kill's the first time ever playing a rush game where, as an attacker, you feel like you have an advantage. You know, anytime you've ever played the rush game mode, you've always felt like the defense had a little bit more of an advantage than you. It kind of, I mean, there are some maps out there that are a little different, but in Armored Kill, every map, it feels like when you're the defense, you're in a constant state of panic.
So let's talk about something positive towards the end. I mean, I thought the AC-130 combined with the enemy armor was a little bit overpowering on many rush maps, but I didn't feel like it was overpowering on the Alborz Mountain map. I mean, I can say that the last set of MCOMs, the defenders have an advantage because there are only 2 entries to those MCOM, and if you can guard them, you can basically shut down the attackers. But did you guys find any other maps on the rush game mode, especially on which you enjoyed yourself yesterday?
I hate Death Valley. That's all I know.
Well, I, on the other hand, love Death Valley, and here's why: the ATV.
Oh God, yes.
It's the best addition to Battlefield 3 I think that there has ever been. I love the ATV. I'll just get on that thing. It doesn't matter when. You know, we could have already won the game. I'll just get on it and drive around for a while. It's just so much fun.
I'll let you guys. I know someone who works at EA in Sweden, and supposedly we're getting dirt bikes in Aftermath.
Oh yeah, it's on
about
the Aftermath.
Oh, they announced that already? Okay, yeah. The other thing that he told me was when they were doing testing on the AC-130 that the tanks were taking them out. So that's why I'm trying to figure out how we're going to take it out with a tank. In game
testing. Hit markers on it before.
Well, I'm thinking that I haven't been on a map yet with a tank in a position that could hit it.
Yeah, just like
Alborz Mountain.
It's difficult
Get on a curve.
Position.
Oh, I gotcha. Well, I mean, yeah, but Alborz Mountain, it's like, since they're on that hill, it gets taken out so fast anyway.
Yeah.
That's like the one map that I don't feel like it has much power on, because I think it does circle the other side of the mountain, and so they don't have a good shot angle half the time they're circling. Except for that last MCOM, I guess. But yeah, so that's what he told me during the actual testing. So I'm wondering if we use SoFlam and Guided Shell, if it's really easy to take out. He wouldn't tell me exactly what was going on, but I bet you if we get a helicopter and armored shield and just TV missile that thing from, 1,000, 2,000 meters away, it'll be easy to deal with on that map.
That's a map that I think Will likes. Will you want to speak on that?
I love Armored Kill. Have you played it?
Armored Shield?
Reminds me of that co-op mission in the, what is it? The one with the helicopters. It reminds me a lot of that. And if you've ever done the glitch where you could get out of the helicopter and explore the area, it looks a lot like it. Even to like the littlest details, if you get next to a sprinkler, you could just hear it going. I love it.
Thank you guys for listening tonight. Just to avoid the big long spiel, we are the Anonymous Squadcast, and we want to send a special thank you to Will and Spades, Skulls and Spades.
5K. Yeah, check me out on YouTube, Skulls and Spades. I'm also on Twitter and Twitch TV. Everything /Skulls and Spades.
All right, and I'm Will, and my channel, you could find me at WGG Gaming. You could find me on Twitter at WillGuitarGuy. And yeah, that's network.
Thank you guys for joining us. We really had some fun talks with you, both on and off the podcast. We'll maybe do an outtakes episode someday, but it was awesome.